Midnight has a sound when you're paying attention. It's the soft electronic click of a key card that isn't yours, the hush of ocean air sneaking through a cracked balcony door, the weight of footsteps that don't belong in your room. I was awake when the door swung open. She didn't knock. She never did. My stepdaughter stood there in borrowed confidence, hair damp from the pool, a boy draped over her shoulder like a prop. Her voice cut through the dark. "I'm staying here with him. Switch rooms." No hesitation, no request. I turned my head slowly. My wife was already sitting up, sheets pulled to her chest like a shield she didn't believe in. She didn't look at me. "Just let her," she said. "It's easier." That word landed wrong. Easier. I felt something settled behind my ribs. Not anger, not yet. Something colder, something precise. I watched the boy's eyes scan the room. The ocean view, the leather chairs, the quiet luxury I had arranged, paid for. No one waited for my answer, so I gave them silence. I stood, pulled on my jacket, picked up my phone. My wife finally looked at me then. Her mouth opened, closed. I smiled. "Enjoy the suite," I said, and I walked out into the salt, dark hallway, already canceling everything tied to my name. People think betrayal arrives with noise. It doesn't. It arrives the way mold does, slow, unnoticed, thriving in the dark corners you never check. This trip wasn't spontaneous. It was planned. Every reservation, every upgrade, every quiet indulgence meant to smooth over months of distance I pretended not to notice. My wife had been distant lately, polite, efficient, affection by appointment. Her daughter had always been entitled, but this was different. This wasn't teenage rebellion. This was ownership, and ownership comes from permission. I walked the length of the beach alone, phone glowing in my hand. Reservations disappeared with clinical taps. Suite, dinner, spa, car service, gone. I didn't feel triumphant. I felt awake. There were details I replayed as the tide rolled in, the way my wife didn't argue, the way she didn't apologize, the way she assumed I'd fold. This wasn't about a room. This was about hierarchy. I had funded her comfort for years, covered tuition, rent, emergencies that came like clockwork. I had mistaken dependency for gratitude, and my wife had mistaken my silence for weakness. When I returned to the lobby, the clerk looked confused. "Everything okay, sir?" I nodded. "Perfect." At 5:43 a.m. my phone buzzed. A message from my wife. "Where are you?" I watched the sun begin to bleed into the horizon. I didn't answer. I sat in the cafe across the street and ordered black coffee. No sugar, no cream. I needed clarity, not comfort. Patterns began to surface once I allowed them. The unexplained charges, the separate accounts, the way my wife insisted everything be in my name for simplicity. Her daughter's boyfriend wasn't new. I'd seen him before. Too comfortable, too familiar. I pulled up bank statements, hotel confirmations, emails I had never bothered to read closely. A second room booked weeks ago, under my wife's name, canceled the same night I arrived, replaced by mine. I breathed slowly. This wasn't impulsive, it was rehearsed. I checked the family cloud account. Photos synced automatically. There they were, champagne flutes, the same suite, taken days before I arrived. My wife's reflection in the mirror, smiling. I closed my eyes. I could confront her, demand explanations, tear open the moment, but that would give her control. Instead, I waited. I watched the suite door from the lobby when sunrise arrived. Staff moved quietly, efficiently. At 7:12 a.m., security knocked. I didn't need to be there to know what happened. I had already removed my card from the reservation. At 7:14, my phone rang. I answered on the third ring. Her voice was sharp, fractured. "They're saying we're not supposed to be here." I sipped my coffee. "That's correct." A pause, then panic. "You canceled everything?" "Yes." Silence stretched. The boy's voice shouted in the background, angry, confused. "You can't do this," she said. I smiled again. She couldn't see it. I can. And I did. My wife took the phone. Her tone changed, softer, calculated. "Let's talk about this." "We are," I said. I forwarded her the photos, the statements, the second reservation. One by one. No commentary. Just truth. Her breath hitched. "You went through my things?" "You forgot to hide them." She tried to speak. Failed. Security was patient. Firm. I hung up. I met them in the lobby. Not to argue. To witness. My stepdaughter wouldn't look at me. Her confidence had evaporated. The boy was already halfway out the door. My wife stood still, pale, exposed. I handed her an envelope. Inside were copies, accounts I had closed, cards I had canceled, a single-page note, effective immediately. "That was our money," she whispered. "No," I said, "it was my silence. And it's gone." She reached for me. I stepped back. "I knew," I continued calmly, "about the room, about the plan, about the way you've been letting her live like I'm a resource, not a partner." Tears finally came, real ones. "I made it easy for you," I said. "You forgot that easy doesn't mean powerless." I walked away. I checked into a smaller hotel. No view, no excess. It felt right. Control isn't loud. Vindication isn't cruel. It's simply the removal of access. I blocked numbers, filed paperwork, booked a flight home. The ocean kept moving. Indifferent. Honest. For the first time in years, so was I. They lost the suite. I gained my exit. And I never looked back.